Well, hello and welcome back to Red Fox Classics, where you can see we have a GT6 without a boot floor. It's there. Now at the end of last episode we got that cut out. And I've just been sitting in here cleaning up this edge, putting in a couple of pieces where I've either slipped with the grinder a little bit or there was a bit of rust. I got to clean up this side where the replacement valance has been put on with plug welds and then little stitches on the inside joint, so it's going to be a real pain. I'm going to continue, get to a point where we can actually test fit the boot floor, and then we'll have a proper look at things. I'm going to keep going and I'll see you in a minute. Right, here's the state of things from inside the boot. See the Spitfire, aren't I? So I've been along this edge. I zoomed in, that would help, wouldn't it? I've been along this edge and cut away all the old repair. So what I've been doing is finding the plug welds, and these are plug welds, not spot welds. Trying to cut a triangle around them and cutting sections off and wiggling them till they come free. I've then been able to clean up the edge, sort of. In many places it's pretty rotten. You know, this was completely gone already. So I'm going to have to replace a lot of it, but yeah, whatever. I mean, that's what we get, isn't it? I mean, you can see. Right, let's have some better light. Please. Yeah. So you can see here, it looks like it was fine, but all the welding just burned the paint away, burned the primer away. So no sealer or anything, so it's just filled with water again. And I've done these repairs around the edge. That wheel arch is actually pretty good, it seems, so that's nice. But it's not. Because this isn't actually joined to this, there's some overlap. It's been overlapped on both, you know, that was a plate to the boot floor and then this was a plate from here to the bottom of the wing, and it's actually joined to the valance there, so I have to take at least some of the wing off as well. So I'm just going to keep going under here. I'm going to, before I get to putting the boot floor in, I'm going to clean up all under here, all under there, while I can have reasonably comfortable access and get it painted and everything. And eventually we'll get the boot floor in. So I'm still cleaning up. So I do have all of that now clear and ready to work on. I think I'm going to be able to get away with putting in just the lip, so not the corner, till I don't know, I might be able to patch that bit, maybe about here. Then from here to somewhere, I think I'm going to have to actually make a bent piece and weld into the actual face of the valance, whatever we're calling it. And the same on the other end. You know, that bit is probably just a case of patching up some of my, you know, I've hit the edge, you know, when cutting through to remove the plug welds, I've hit the surface of the flange. So I'm probably going to be able to just patch up a bit there. And then, yeah, see what the middle's like. This bit. Yeah, just having all this paint off. I have knocked out, there was a couple of dents in the valance, which I have bashed out and will check properly once I've got rid of the paint. And yeah, making some progress. Not very fun or exciting jobs though. Okay, so I've been making a bit for the bottom of the valance. And actually, this was the start of my initial attempt to repair here. that I changed my mind on. It was almost the right shape. So that will go there. There. I'm making that with the kick shrinker stretcher. Now if you've not seen these before, we've got two sets of jaws, one that squashes metal together and the other that pushes metal apart. So for this bit, you can see we've got a curve in the angle. That's because I have stretched this edge. That makes the metal a little bit bigger, makes it curve like that. Shrinker does the opposite, and I've had to go back and forth. You know, I've had to shrink a bit to correct overstretching, and because this was originally a part for another bit of the car. Anyway, I'm going to start trimming this up and getting it welded in. And kind of in the meantime, been under here and starting to strip off all of the paint. So, brightness is going to be weird. Don't think this is going to come up. Anyway, I've got my line marks on there to cut, and because I've overlapped the repair piece, I'm going to try to cut on this line, right through this line, so that should just let me move it back the thickness of the disc, which is about the thickness I need to go, and fit it in. Okay, so that's in. I've got to grind it. I've just welded this one. I've not tried to do anything fancy. You know, you think about it, this is already high off the ground. It's going to be a lot lower. And yeah, it's not worth fussing about something that low down. It will not be noticeable. So I'll keep getting on with this. Because now that's done, I obviously need to grind it down, but then I put a little bit of a lip replacement along there, because you can see it's, yeah, there's holes and damage and things. And then I'm actually going to be in a position to test fit the brick floor. But before it goes in, I need to remake some of the bracketry. So I'm going to spend a lot of time stripping this, or it feels like a lot of time, on both sides. Still not done. Just cut this out there, look at that. I've got strata. Right, it's taken me all day, but this is now clean, or at least has no paint in it, and the inside as well. The inside was the most awkward bit. And I did the inside, and I did it now because this was a replacement valance. It was in the factory red oxide. I believe you shouldn't paint over that, or it's not suitable for painting over. And a lot of this paint was flaking off, so that seemed like it was probably true. So I thought I'd best take it all off while I can get in here and access, you know, like under these lips a bit better. I'm considering finding a way to turn this car over at some point, but at the moment I don't have that. So I'm going to behave as if I'm not going to get in here again. So next job is going to be to paint or stone chip or something, like the bits that are going to be hard to access, like there and probably under here, and then work on fitting the boot floor. I did finish off, do some welding like that little bit in there, and the same on the other side. Got that spot welded on. Did blow through a bit by missing with the spot welder, so I'm going to have to go back, do some touch-ups. I also filled in that, we need to do a bit more grinding. So yeah, once I've got some paint in there, I'm going to reproduce the brackets that need to go on the boot floor, drill the appropriate holes, and then start to look at getting it fitted in. Okay, so I have no idea where we are, because I've been away for a little bit, and so I was cleaning up the inside of this. That's all done. I had a couple of touch-up little welds to do. They're done. So the next thing I want to do is get these bits of the low bay floor out and fuel tank, and check that they were going to fit in without any issues, and it looks like they will. Obviously nothing's flat because these are knackered and old, but all the holes are still lining up. They're still resting on the lip that I built back off of here, so that I'm happy with. Which means, like, this bit, I can call that done. And before I start to get the actual boot floor in, I can kind of go under this lip and get some paint on, because whatever I do, access for that is going to be difficult, other than if I'm sitting there and looking upwards. So, what's a flush rusted? Why there in particular? Don't know. Anyway, get that dent fixed, and then paint. I'm just going to stick to like the underside of this section. There's dent there too. Well, I'm going to sort some dents out, and then I'm going to paint the underside of there. I'm going to leave absolutely everything else because I'm going to be able to get to it, and I don't want to do more of painting something before it's ready, and then ending up having to come and clean off more paint. So like I've done here, I painted this, and obviously then I have to weld again. Anyway, I shall get some dents sorted and some paint in, and all this stuff put back away again. Okay, so I got that ground down, and I had to do a bit of hammer work to actually get it. I didn't notice when I put the patch in, but that is a very slight curve. Fortunately, obviously I've made something that was proud, so I was able to hammer it down and make that match up. So that's actually quite a nice repair, luckily. And I've gone into here and I've done a strip, basically so I could get some, well, this is stone chip, but something up under there, because that's going to be, whatever I do, that's going to be really difficult to get to in later stages of painting. So now I'm going to make these brackets. So I thought about obviously chopping it off and repairing what was there, but on the other side of this, it's rotted through. You can see it there. It's gone, and by the time you'd cut that off and repaired it and so on, you may as well have made your own. So that's just going to be a couple of bends to make the main shape, and then fold up this sort of rib and insert that in and weld it all up. This is just a couple of bent bits of metal, or a couple of bends and a bit of metal. So just got to see. That's slightly wet, and I don't really want to put it out if it's going to chuck it down again. But it's slightly wet, so I can't cover it up. So I might not be able to do these immediately, but we shall see. So before starting to make anything, also I forgot that. That's for the jack strap. And as I've got these original bits, I'm going to replicate them. Anyway, yeah, I thought I'd see how this fitted, and the answer is not great. Particularly there. I'm pretty sure that curve is just wrong. It's also, there's quite a gap there. That is where I put in the replacement arch, and so there could be some of that contributing, but it's about the same. Well, it's a little bit better on this edge. So I am going to have to make some repairs on, well, alterations on the edges of this thing, which is what I expected, really, Anyway, it's good enough that I think I will continue. I will make the brackets. I'll get them on. I'll get all the edges of everything ready and primed for welding, and then I'm going to put this in and adjust it to fit in place, and then if I've got to cut out and make an extra bit to go in here, for example, I will do that, and I will weld it in situ in the car. Yeah, because actually you can see here I could do with, you can see, well I can see, there you are. I'll probably go along the edge with hammer and dolly and make these edges actually a bit nicer first. Anyway, I'll yank this out again and get on with something. Let's start with the exhaust hanger. I'll just lock this bolt off to start with. I'll start doing it. So I do what it looks like. Washes. Right, 1.5 by 1.5/8, about 1/2 inch-ish flanges. So I'll get held within that, and that one will be done. Now this little one, so that should just be a case of cutting a strip and a couple of bends. That doesn't really want to cut the snips. So now that curl, which is at a slight angle. It is a slight angle. Full on. With orbit mode. It's looking close enough, I think. Okay. Mop it off there. Right, 2 down. This one's going to be a bit more effort because I'm getting this section in. So, start doing that. Which appears to nicely be 6 centimetres wide. Alright, let's see how well this will bend. There we go. It's actually turned out the tiniest bit wider, but I don't care. So, get it trimmed to shape, to length. Don't really care about super exactness here. Okay, now that bit. And this is where I best build it to the new floor, haven't I? So just say right on the edge. I'm measuring it away from this bracket. The corner it wants to go there. Crosswise bit is going to want to go here. I'll start off, I'll make a bit that will fit over that. I just put the metal away because I thought I didn't need it. So what I'm going to do with this is make a bend. Let's try and cram the camera in. So I've not marked anything because I just need a rough shape, really. So once I've made my first bend, I'm going to go and look for the width. But start off. Try and bend this. Same idea, but in the vise, and I'm wondering how I'm going to do the other bend. So this is more difficult than what I've done before because I'm using quite thick steel. This is 1.5 mil. And that's really not enough, is it? It might work. I don't think that's actually alright. Question is, can I make the second one, can I make it sort of the same depth? No, let's try again here. It's just that little bit too narrow. I keep trying. It's finally got that bit done. And it sits alright on there. Just chop that corner off so I could start to do that. So I'm going to trim back the bit, well this bit, what have we called this, the bit with the pressing in it. And cut out this section of this bit and join the two together. So what I'll do is I'll trim this down. I might not even. Might notch that out first.
then trim that to fit. So I'll get that ground back and pretty up, and then we can start looking at attaching things to the floor. Neaten up that edge. That edge is quite wonky. Well, probably not now. Started that. Or was it twisted? Could have done. Anyway. Well, there we go. It's ground back. Obviously this side needs to be nice and flat, so it's not there. I've not gone too overboard in here. I mean, you can tell there's a weld, but it's going to be underneath the car, under some stone chip. I don't really need to go any further. That will go into there quite nicely. Slightly rotated from where I was aiming, but I might just grind that back a bit so it evens up. Again, it doesn't really matter. But I will get the E-coat cleaned off of here. So I'm going to be able to get some weld-through primer and then spot welder in. Hopefully. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get... Well, for that one I might check my arm lengths first, in case I can't actually reach with the spot welder. Anyway, got those two. Also, to get myself a space cleaned up on the floor, get everything weld through primed, and get them welded up. Well, they're on. I've been using the spot welder and I've really struggled with it. I always find those extension arms quite difficult to get right, and this time was no exception. So I've had to go back around and actually turn a couple into plug welds. But brackets are on. I've got some holes to drill, and I've also been round and done what I hope is a final clean up here. I've chopped a bit more out in that corner. This wasn't terrible, but it was quite... I heavily surface rusted in this corner and I couldn't really clean it up, so just got rid of it. And I chopped a huge chunk of big multi-layered lumps of weld out of there. I've also found some dodgy looking welding inside that wheel arch, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, I'll get a couple of holes cut in that. I'm going to do the drain hole and the drain hole that goes here, and the opening for the fuel pickup, and the one that goes through here, which is the spare wheel holder. There's also supposed to be a drain hole about there, but I'm going to leave that till I've welded this edge on and trimmed it, because this edge is not quite exactly the right shape, so I don't want to drill it too low. I'm going to get that done by myself and wrap up this episode. Next time, we'll actually hopefully get the boot floor into the car. I did test fit it. It's a bit of a struggle. Probably, well, it's still better than I couldn't have kept the original one. It would have just been a mess. And once the boot floor is in, I'll probably finally finish the rear wing patch, which is where we got into all this this mess. And then I think my plan is going to be to come back along the front of the car and finish up the side. So there's still the door to fit up, and the rear wing, the front of the rear wing to play with as well, and the bonnet and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe, because then you're going to get notified when that happens, when that next episode turns up. In the meantime, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everybody who already is subscribed, and I will see you next time.